You ready to fight, Barry? Are you ready to fight, Barry? I challenge you to a one-on-one bout. No winners, no losers, just fighters. Okay, so, for those of you that are following me on Twitter, and those of you that just watch my videos, because I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in a few videos. Okay, I just finished reading Vinland Saga by Makoto Yukimura. Amazing read. Pretty damn cool. I'll be making more videos about this, but there's a character in Vinland Saga. If you've read Vinland Saga, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Tall guy. He's so tall that his epithet is literally the tall. He's got an eye patch. He's got scars. He's got awesome hair. I'm, of course, referring to Kenpachi Zaraki. No, I'm talking about Thorkill the Tall, of course, who, I have to say, watching and reading Vinland Saga, I couldn't help but, be brought back to the days of Bleach with Kenpachi. I mean, I guess it depends on which one you read first. If you read Vinland Saga first, and then you read Bleach, then Kenpachi will remind you of Thorkill, but I had the other way around, okay? But no, so, thinking about Thorkill, thinking about Kenpachi, and I started to think about that very special kind of fictional character. They pop up a lot in manga and anime. The character that just loves to fight just for the sake of fighting. The character that whenever they show up, shit's going down, and it's not gonna stop going down until there's at least 18 liters of blood scattered around the battlefield, alright? What makes that character just so endearing, so likable? You understand that character's, has the potential or the failings to be the most dirt simple, one-dimensional character possible. And there are certainly those that exist out there. There's many failed attempts at this. But Kenpachi is a very loved character in Bleach. Some other examples of this just beyond Thorkill and Kenpachi. I asked on Twitter, hey guys, give me some lists of some other characters from other series that adhere to this kind of logic. People were throwing out Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. Also, I just wanted a reason to put up this badass Hunter x Hunter poster back here because I don't think I've ever had a chance. I've had this forever. I've never had a chance to use this yet, so there you go. Also from Hunter x Hunter, and this character's a little bit more complicated because they actually change over later on, but Yuppie from the Chimera Antark, that was a good one. Just going down this list here, we got Kenpachi, Thorkill, Yuppie, Zebra from Toriko, Alucard, Jack the Ripper from Black Clover. We got Bakke. Everybody's like, every character from Bakke pretty much fits this, ideal. I haven't personally watched Bakke or read it, but just by looking at the images, I'm like, yeah, I could see that. Totally, I could see that. I've never watched Demon Slayer yet. I'll get to that at some point, but people are like, Inosuke, he, right there, I don't know if it's a guy, I guess it's a guy, but he wears a boar, why does he wear a boar head? That doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever, this guy, apparently. This, not really a lot of characters in My Hero Academia that fit to this standard, but just to be topical, Kendo Rappa from the Chisake arc in the Yakuza, in the 8 precepts, okay, so he adheres to this, definitely. Luck from Black Clover is another one. Shimatsu Toyo Heesu from Drifters, which I'm a huge Drifter fan, so I like that people brought him up there. He definitely adheres to this, right? So, a lot of characters with this ideal. So, what makes them so likable by the fan base, right? I think it's because a lot of these series I just went through, most of them, are battle shonen. There's a few that are like, Hellsing is definitely not a shonen. That's an absolute seinen, right? That's an absolute bloodbath in a lot of regards. But when you get to the very core of a battle shonen series, you got great character development, you got good plot, you got good world building, but battles are a big part of this. And when you introduce a character whose sole purpose is to fight, I think that kind of caters to a little bit more of a primal urge in our brains. Like, whenever you pick up Bleach and you read it, it's like, okay, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here with, Ichigo and his friends and why they're doing for what they're doing, and I like Kubo's, the way he depicts the enemies and their abilities and stuff like that. But every now and then, I just want to see a balls-out fight. Having complicated abilities, Zanpakuto toe powers or Nen abilities or interesting quirks from My Hero Academia, that's all well and good, but every now and then it is really cool just to see two characters just start laughing maniacally in the heat of battle and just start beating the ever-loving snot out of each other, and you're just sitting there reading it, enjoying the ride, and it's like, man, I can't wait to see how this is going to end. Now, it might get repetitive if this is used constantly, and just, like every arc is like this, which maybe that is how Bakke is, I don't know, I guess I have to give that a read. But it's like, whenever a Kenpachi fight happens in Bleach, or a zebra fight happens in Toriko, you're in for a treat. Kind of in just the way it goes of how simple these characters act. Their motivations are very straightforward, okay? When Zebra starts fighting a giant beast in Toriko, Zebra, he's not gonna do anything super complicated here. He's not gonna delve into philosophy or anything. He's not gonna give you something to think about. He's not going to, go on and on about, like, the nature of what battle really is. No, he's like, this giant dragon's getting cocky. Time to beat it down. Beat punch. That's... And like I said, if it's over and over again, it might get kind of boring after a while. Even with that case, it might still take a while to get kind of boring. I really like Zebra from Toriko. But, it's just a really fun thing to enjoy. Now, another character, two characters, because they're from the same series that people brought up here, were Goku and Vegeta, and pretty much the entire Saiyan race, if we're being straight up, because they're all, bred to fight and, participate in battles and conquer planets and all that stuff, right? So let's just focus on Goku here, all right? No one would debate that Goku loves a good fight. No one would probably even debate that fighting is the most important thing in Goku's life, because it pretty much is, but at the same time, like Goku did the whole thing where he, like, he made an assassination plot on himself just so he could fight Hisoka, all right? So Goku really loves a good scrap, right? But at the same time, I don't think anyone would put Goku in the same category of, like, a Kenpachi Zaraki or a Thorkill. All right, so then I started to think, all right, there's different types of this kind of character, right? It's not just the same, archetype all around across the board, right? And a big piece of criteria I discovered here was a little bit of unhinged nature that these characters exhibit. Maybe even a tinge of insanity, right? Where these characters, when they get in the height of battle, they literally just get, like, awashed in ecstasy. Now, whether that be... There's a bunch of different reasons for this. Like, Kenpachi, just pure bloodlust. Like, he just loves that sensation of taking his sword and just... He just loves that sensation of his sword just cutting into flesh. That just gets, like, the hair just standing on end, just like, I love this fight! That's what Kenpachi's into. Zebra from Toriko, very much, because everything in Toriko pretty much just comes back to food and hunting ingredients for food, or just eating the ingredients raw as food. It all comes back to that. So Zebra's whole thing is very much gluttony and consumption. It's like, oh yeah, that giant dragon smells good. I'm gonna beat it down and then just take a big giant chunk out of it and just, yeah. That's what gets Zebra moving. Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, lust. It's like a sexual thing for him, if you fight Hisoka, and by the way, if you ever find yourself in that, if there's ever a moment where some scientist in the world creates that, dimensional gate that can bring fictional characters into our realm, and they of course end up taking over the world, I'm just saying, if you ever find yourself fighting against Hisoka, I mean, I don't have much of advice for you. It's just like, just understand what you're getting yourself into, right? But no, Hisoka, if you fight Hisoka, and he's, like, enjoying the battle and really feeling it, you just know he's gonna be rock hard the entire time. That's what it is for Hisoka. Oh, Uvogin! I completely forgot about Uvogin. Yeah, Uvogin is the member of the Phantom Troops that's, that kind of archetype, where he's not an idiot. He's just very simple, very straightforward. In Hunter x Hunter, we find out that those that are predisposed to the enhancer category of Nen are very straightforward in terms of personality. Now, that doesn't mean that every single enhancer in Hunter x Hunter is that, like, I want to fight, fight, fight kind of mentality. Gon is an enhancer. He doesn't have that. I believe even Netero has that enhancer category as his main category. And Netero enjoyed a pretty good fight too, but he wasn't as, like, bloodthirsty as these other characters, right? But yeah, Uvogin definitely adheres to that. But no, yeah, so what was I talking about? Yeah, like examples of Hisoka, Yuppie from Hunter x Hunter is, like, some character that I thought was going to adhere to that 100%. Basically, when Yuppie showed up in Hunter x Hunter, I thought, okay, this is gonna be straight up, like, Kenpachi. You know, that's the kind of character we're getting. I mean, you just look at Yuppie, and eventually what he turns into, it's like, holy crap, how could you think of this character as anything more than just like, I'm the big muscular red guy that just shreds you apart. You know, I'm a monster, basically. But no, Yuppie actually went a very interesting route with this, the way that Togashi did it, where Yuppie learned how to harness his rage into like a controlled fashion, and that was the true nature of his power. Alright, so at the end of the day, it is to his duty to protect the king. That's what he follows into there, so it's like a mix between duty, then you got gluttony, then you got just bloodlust, then you got lust, you know, pure, like, sexual arousal. All these different reasons why these characters do this, and they kind of get very unhinged when they get at the height of battle, where those emotions kind of seep through. You know, when Hisoka's getting into a battle, you know when he's getting in, you know when that switch flips and he's having fun in a fight. Goku is a little different than that. Goku certainly loves a fight, but when Goku's getting really serious, he doesn't start going maniacal like, ha ha ha, I love this fight, Frieza! Let's do this until none of us are alive! Kamehameha! You know, Goku doesn't really, you know, he'll yell and he'll scream, but he doesn't go like maniacal insano with it, right? Goku, it's actually kind of the exact opposite. When he's getting very, very serious in a fight, when he is fighting Frieza, or Cell, or Boo, or Jiren, or Hit, he actually gets way more, like, focused. Because at the heart of Goku's character, he's a martial artist. He wants to get stronger, not necessarily to satiate, like, his battle lust or anything, but to sharpen that martial arts blade. It's a lot more finesse. It's a lot more, like, just, you know, sharpening a skill that I just want to get progressively good at. He's been a martial artist ever since he was a little kid, and he's a very simple-minded individual, and he doesn't mean he's stupid. He just, well, you know, book learning, yes, but not in terms of fighting. He just wants to, like, I just want to get stronger. I want to see what other people have. I love it when people show up that are stronger than me, or as strong as me, or have some other neat ability that I can learn to get around. When Goku really gets into fighting, he's actually laser focused on his opponent, trying to figure out what their ability does and what he can use in his own toolbox in order to counter that ability. Like, okay, I have Super Saiyan, I could go Kaioken, Kamehameha, Instant Transmission, Genki Dama. What do I have in my repertoire here that can counter, like, Hit's time skip ability, an ability I never really saw utilized before? Stuff like that with Goku. So, yeah, a lot of different varieties with this kind of character, you know what I mean? But yeah, Goku is sort of in that category, but not really. When Goku shows up at a fight, you know it's gonna get intense, but it's not gonna get, like, as intense as some other characters where they really just basically lose their sense of self and just dedicate themselves to, like, Grim Reapers and avatars of death incarnate. Like, why is it so hard to... There we go. Like, when you get to Kenpachi and you get to, like, Jack the Ripper from Black Clover, two characters that really embody that ideal. Let's talk about those two characters in particular, because something interesting. They both belong to organizations that have a very strict kind of code of conduct. So with the Gotei 13 with Kenpachi, you know, their duty is, you know, to protect the Soul Society, protect the souls, perform Konsos, and all that crap, right? Don't take that to mean that just because Kenpachi is part of that organization, that's the purpose for why he fights. No, it's actually kind of the exact opposite. It's like Yamamoto realized, holy crap, Kenpachi is just he's just a bloody wheat thresher, you know, just running over the fields of people, right? So in order to kind of utilize that power for ourselves, we're going to recruit him into our organization. But Kenpachi really has no interest in the Gotei or their purpose for the Soul Society. Kenpachi just wants to fight. Going back to Vinland Saga and Thorkill, early on in the Vinland Saga manga, Thorkill literally switches sides from the Danes to the English, you know, to fight on the enemy side. Now, why does he do that? Does he do that because I want the English to rule over England, or I really like the English king, or I really like the English battle strategies? No, he switches sides because he was tired of fighting the English. He thought the English were too pitiful. You know, I'm storming through these battlefields. I'm not having any resistance. I know what I'll do. I'll switch sides over to the English and then fight the Danes, because I know the Danes, you know, and the Vikings, they can actually hold up. You know, the Joms Vikings, they can actually hold up to me when I start to fight. That'd actually be a really good fight then. Right? So, yeah, and then Jack the Ripper with Black Clover, same deal. You know, he's a part of the Magical Knights, these squads that are supposed to, like, protect the realm and all that crap. But Jack the Ripper really, at the end of the day, doesn't care particularly about that. He's just like, I'm here to just use my... He literally has severing magic. His magical power in the world of Black Clover, you got some really interesting magic powers. You got time magic, you got healing magic, you got this interesting water magic that can do stuff. You know, his magic literally severs. It's just, it creates two giant blades that can just, like, cut through anything like butter. And that's what his magic is all centered around, right? So, yeah, that's what he's there to do. And if you just look at the guy, you could see, right? So, yeah, Luck from Black Clover also, since we're talking about that series. Very, I honestly think with Luck, it really is kind of like brain wires getting crossed up there, where it's just like, he only really feels joy and true happiness when he's in the heat of battle, to the point where that's all he can think about, even when he's not in battle. He's like, hey guys, you want to go battle? We should go battle. Totally battle, right? Just to use a minor spoiler from Black Clover here, I'm not going to use names or talk about anything like particularly in the story, but there is a moment when Luck encounters a character that's ridiculously strong, and Luck actually is, like, the first time in his life, like, so terrified he doesn't want to fight. And this is a guy that, like, lives to fight. So that was actually a really clever way that Tabata utilized Luck's just obsession with battle and the joy that he gets out of it to showcase how strong an opponent is when Luck is terrified of fighting him. And Luck will usually, like, dive headlong, like first off into any battle. Like, if it's like, Luck, there's an army of 100, you know, enemy knights coming at us. Okay! And just, like, charges in. Like, before you can even finish, like, the battle plan or, like, where they're laid out, he'll be just lightning stepping over to them, you know, and just start, like, just, you know, cutting through the enemy line. That's Luck. Shimatsu Toyo Heesu, I mentioned. Now, this is interesting because Shimatsu Toyo Heesu was an actual person that really existed in Sekigahara, that died in the battle there in the year 1600. So, that's an actual person. But the way that he's depicted in Drifters is like, yeah, he fights for the Shimatsu clan, and he's like, you know what? I am here to do a man's duty, and a man's duty is to, like, fight in battle and then die in battle. That's what I'm going to do. And then he just dives into the enemy charge. Like, literally, you have an entire army charging at them, and they have, like, a relatively weak line, you know, of just, like, you know, people, like, with, like, rifles, like matchlock rifles, and they got freaking horses and spears just ready to run them down. What does Toyo Heesu do? He just jumps through the freaking gun smoke and just, ha-ha! And then gets impaled multiple times. But, you know, and then, he, you know, the plot of Drifters takes up after that. He gets sent to, you know, the other world. But, man, that proves that right there. Although, yeah, Toyo Heesu, he's much more cultured just because, you know, he grew up in that atmosphere. Like, that was not something he was necessarily inherently born with. He was raised in that warrior kind of culture, where it's like ever since he was a young boy, he was just, what his father was Ie Heesu. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna be a great warrior, you're gonna be a samurai, you're gonna fight, you know, and that's what he does, right? So, but he also has moments throughout Drifters where he gives, you know, moments of inspiration to other characters. He's very good at giving a speech and being, like, in that leader type position. So he does lose himself in battle, you know, quite considerably, but he still maintains, like, I am a leader, I will lead my army, and he understands, like, Toyo Heesu would not be like, unless he was up against a wall like he was at Satsuma, I'm not going to charge into, like, a giant fortress and just expect to win. Toyo Heesu's like, the army is a big part of this, and a proper organizational structure, hierarchy, that needs to be a thing. So that's Toyo Heesu there. Some other characters that I heard being talked around that I just kind of threw on here is sort of like a, yeah, maybe. Levi from Attack on Titan, absolutely. Although Levi, I would hesitate to put him on here because I don't think Levi gets, like, some sort of sick pleasure or enjoyment or something like that whenever he's fighting Titans. Levi actually, you know, especially when you find out the true nature of Titans and what they really are, Levi is actually rather disgusted by it. You know, he does what he does more because it's a job rather than, now he's an Ackerman, So Levi, you know, has that just innate, like, base stats are higher and everything. He's a lot stronger and faster and agile and all that stuff. So he's playing to his strengths. And he was raised by, like, a serial killer ever since he was a little kid. But I don't think Levi, he doesn't go as far as a lot of these other characters do with it. You know, he might get washed in the battle and just covered in blood and things, but I think he's more angled for it being a job. He's fighting for the scouts, he's fighting for humanity, and he takes that more than he does, like, scratching that itch that he might have as an Ackerman to just, like, slice some things down, right? He does have that, but it's not as prominent as, like, these other characters. Garo from One Punch Man. Now, Garo is interesting. And he's the last character I wrote on this list. I couldn't cover every single one in this video, obviously. There's so many of them. Some done very well, some done very poorly, some just kind of meh. So comment below on which one is your favorite that fits this, and why they fight, and why you enjoy it whenever they pop into the story. But Garo from One Punch Man. He loves a good fight, absolutely, and he's literally made it his mission to just go around and just beat the ever-loving crap out of all these heroes. But his drive is not pure bloodlust. It's actually just him trying to prove a point. Ever since he was a little kid and the entire world was telling him, you know, heroes win, monsters fail. Heroes win, monsters fail. And that's the way it's depicted in fiction. Like, he was growing up basically watching like a Sentai, like, you know, like Power Rangers, you know, or whatever, back when he was a little kid. What happens in Power Rangers? Do the monsters ever beat the Rangers? Not really. Every now and then, the monsters will get a little bit of a one-up on the Rangers. The Rangers will come back and beat the crap out of the monster. That's the plot of Power Rangers, okay? And then at the very end of the season, what happens? Does the big bad, let's just Rita Repulsa, just kill all of the Power Rangers and call it a day? No. That's the thing that Garo was upset by, because Garo is like, the monsters are trying just as hard. In fact, a lot of times, the monsters are trying even harder than the Rangers do. The Rangers always win. So Garo is like, I just want to prove a point. I want to prove to the world, no, this time, the monsters are gonna win, damn it. We're gonna win. And that's why he starts calling himself a human monster and things like that. But yeah, he does get enjoyment out of it. Like, if you saw the fight when, you know, at the end of season 2 of the anime, and then later on when he's fighting, you know, Orochi in the manga and all that stuff, he gets really into these fights. And, you know, it's just made all the more by his monster guise begins to develop and evolve even more. His hair begins to get more wild, his eyes, he starts talking a lot less, he becomes just taking over to that washed madness of a monster. But is that really who Garo is on the inside? Getting into kind of webcomic spoilerly material at this point, so I'm gonna stop right there with One Punch Man. But yeah, I think that's pretty much Oh, Alucard! So I didn't go too much into Alucard here, but Alucard, okay, I'll end with Alucard, okay, because I love me some Hellsing, okay? How many Hellsing fans we got out there? Raise your hand if you're a Hellsing fan, come on, guys! Hellsing fans! Love that series, okay? I have Alucard. Alucard's, like, consistently always back here. Never really talk about Hellsing all that much, but alright, screw it, I'm talking about it now, alright? So, Alucard is a vampire. If you didn't watch Hellsing, there's the plot of it. He's a vampire. But he's a really old vampire that wiped out the Turks and just, like, demolished entire armies. And Alucard is an incredibly complicated character, very layered. But to bring it down to really where this lies, he fights... And when he fights, he does get that bloodlust and everything like that. Like, the plot of Hellsing literally involves all of London just getting absolutely demolished in just bloody gore and, like, pretty much millions of people dying, and Alucard just absorbing all of their blood into himself. And you find out, like, yeah, he does love fighting, and he doesn't care who it is, because he's just basically forsaken all of humanity at this point. He doesn't care about humans or what they're doing, unless they can give him, like the Major can give him, like, a decent battle to work with. But Alucard always feels that he is superior. Even if he's in the middle of this giant war zone, he still feels like, oh, you're nothing but just pathetic, you know, ants, you know, to me, really. It takes a real human to beat a monster. He compares humans and dogs a lot. Like, you know, just being human doesn't mean you're human in Alucard's eyes. You really have to watch Hellsing and read it to understand what I mean by that. But he's like, he's basically waiting for a true human that embodies the spirit of humanity to rise up, to actually give Alucard a run for his money and defeat him. Not just any old human that comes up and just like, ah! You know, like, die, monster! You know, nothing like that, but somebody that can actually embody the goodness of humanity is like really what Alucard truly wants in a fight. Also, Alucard is the past that he suffered through, very dark things before he became a vampire. He was Vlad Tepes, basically. He was Dracula, you know, and that's what he was. And so you could look at it like the reason he kills and devours all these monsters and I mean devours all the humans into his monster visage, and the reason that he even became a vampire and gave himself over to that side of things is because of the deep emptiness inside of his own soul. So he literally has like millions of forsaken lost souls trapped within him, but he still doesn't know who he is. He still lacks his sense of identity and feels just this crushing loneliness inside of him. At the end of Hellsing, it's a very poetic thing where he has all these millions of souls in him. He has to go through systematically and kill all of them until he's the only one that remains. So he finally knows who he is. That's Alucard. So if that was very confusing to you, please go and watch Hellsing Ultimate. The original Hellsing is good too, but it doesn't follow the manga. Yeah, that's a good place to end this, I think. So, yeah, that was a very intense video. I just wanted to get that out there. I had a lot of feelings on this subject matter, so I wanted to get into that. Once again, who's your favorite character that embodies this? Who's somebody that I left off the list either for just because I couldn't talk about everybody, or like, Suke or Bakke? I don't watch those series, so I don't know much about them, but let me know. Let me know how they embody that. All right, so this will be Tekking101 signing out. I didn't talk about One Piece in this video. Very weird. Who embodies this in One Piece? Okay, well, actually...